Ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing today? My name is John the Ninja, and today I've been very fortunate. I've got to run around Philly. I've got to talk to a lot of friends I haven't seen in a while, but the highlight of my days so far was I got to sit in on a band that is notorious. No, I'm just kidding. A band that is actually well regarded in the world of rock and roll and music. They are a tribute band, and they are the Iron Maidens. They started out as two separate bands coming together for 2005's World Only Female Tribute Band to Iron Maiden. Messed up the CD part, but that's okay. This is rock and roll, ladies and gentlemen. The reason I'm being fun and relaxed is because the person I'm with right now is Courtney Cox. She is the Adrian Smith of the Iron Maidens, and if you've never seen an interview with her, she's cool, calm, collected, and relaxed.
Oh, now you're putting me on the spot, dude.
She is one of our native. Everyone wants to say Philadelphia, but more specifically, she's from Tinicum. Exington.
Right by the airport.
But her resume speaks for itself, having worked with George Lynch of Dokken, Perry Farrell of Jane's Addiction, having been in Femme Fatale, Queen Diamond, a tribute band to King Diamond, pretty much the Danzig of heavy metal, and so much more. Courtney, how you doing today?
I'm well. Just got done with sound check, as you heard.
You guys were tight. I loved it. It was really good.
Luckily, over the years, the sound checks get shorter and shorter.
Well, that's just a testament to how good you guys have gotten together. How was coming home? Because I know you guys had a show.
Yeah,
you had a show in New York.
Yeah, we did New York, Blackthorn 51. Then we went up to New Bedford, Massachusetts, Greasy Luck, Vault at Greasy Luck. And then last night we were at the Chance in Poughkeepsie. Then after the show, I just drove to Philly.
Okay. Man, how long was that drive?
It was like 4 hours.
Damn.
Yeah, but you get back home, you get to sleep in and not drive with the sun up,
Right.
And the heat and traffic and all that crap.
Did you get to see family?
Yeah, they're here.
Okay, nice. Question. Where's your brother at? Because I feel like we owe him a lot for getting you into music and making you want to be a guitarist.
He's the drummer sitting right now. He's actually opening for us tonight.
Oh, okay.
He was the guy with the red hat on.
I'm definitely going to go bother him.
Probably scowling at me and making fun of me because, it's my brother. That's what he does.
Did he used to pick on you growing up?
Oh, yeah. They went back and forth.
Considering how much touring you're doing right now, does it ever just dawn on you? It's like, wow, there may be a little better way to do this. Like, is there anything about touring you're kind of like,
No, and that's the thing with touring. Once you think you have it down and everything, is just second nature, it completely changes on you. So every show, every week, every month, every tour is just a new thing. I mean, back in the day, I was more into like, yeah, man, we're in a band, rock and roll, let's stay up till 4. And I'm just like, now it's like I just want to sleep. So I think that's the thing now with touring, I really value is sleep.
Okay.
I'm getting old.
That happens to all the best of us.
Sleep in a shower, that's all I need and I'm good to go.
And interviews, when you're asked where would you like to play, a lot of times you said space. Is that just a throwaway answer just to mess with them, or is it just like you actually have a fascination with Snake?
No, it's just a joke. Like even like on social media when you post tour dates, there's like 20 comments. Why aren't you playing here? Why aren't you playing there? And I just started this thing. I'm like, yeah, why are we playing Antarctica? Why are we playing the moon? It's just, comic relief for myself.
It's really amazing. I've heard left and right. You started in 09 with the band. You started in 011. Could you really actually give us 09? It was 09. Mm-hmm. So going from just being asked to play one time to being one of the leading ladies of the band.
It was basically that one time was my audition, and it was very nerve-wracking.
What was nerve-wracking?
And I didn't even think I got the gig. No, it was just, I don't know, I can't describe it. It's just, butterflies and nerves. Like, don't mess this up. Like, this is your chance, to prove yourself.
Did you ever play with the girls prior to?
When I met the girls, I had one audition in a studio, and then they invited me to their one Christmas show that December, and I got to play 2 songs. I forget what they were. I think it was Wasted Years and something else. God, I'm dating myself right now. But yeah.
Okay.
And then a couple days later, like, oh, you got the gig.
So you play Adrian's parts, Adrian Smith. He's known for being the type of guy to just pick a note out of nowhere, and it works. How would you compare your playing style to his playing style? Where do you differ? And then where do you have to emulate him?
Oh. I mean, I wouldn't say he just picks notes randomly out. He's just very melodic, and he definitely has his phrases that he goes to and stuff. Like, I'm talking like I know the guy personally, but from studying, his parts and stuff, that's what I've gathered over the years. When I attempt his stuff, when I first learned the songs, like I'll do everything note for note, as anyone should, and then just naturally over shows, I just throw my own flair in. But my thing is, like, I make sure that I keep the main notes, like the notes that can't be missing, like the ones that everyone's air guitaring and singing. Like there's when you're covering songs, you really have to keep the key notes in there, then just fill in where you see fit, as long as you're supporting the song and not completely changing it. So that's what I try to do.
For me, the one thing I like about Maiden, not only that they have the 3 guitars, there's so many ways you can play it. For the people that don't know, the notes on the guitar are all over the place. You can play an A note here, up, down the neck. So what I like to do is, if I'm learning a song, I cater it to me, because you're dealing with some talents that are just out of this world. Yeah,
I mean, and then you have players that, I'm self-taught. I don't really know if I'm in the right position or holding the guitar the right way. That's just what I was comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
And you have people that are classically trained or take lessons all the time. Depends on how you started, really. But I'll change my fingering patterns and stuff if I'm not comfortable, because I have really tiny hands.
Mm-hmm.
So it's on the player, really. There's no real strict way to do it. Just have fun.
So one thing I've also heard is playing on the fly makes you a better musician. Like, say you walk in, it's like, okay, we're going to play this song in the key of A, and you probably never played it before. What are some keys that you would suggest, or scales for guitar players to know to be good at?
I mean, I don't want to be lame and say pentatonic. That's everyone's go-to. Natural, minor, get your major in there. And I know I'm not really a big theory person. My belief is, just to have a good, strong ear. And even if you hear the chord progression, just know what the next chord is going to be, or anticipate. Like, I really focus on that kind of thing. You can play scales all day, doesn't mean it's going to sound good. The notes might be there, but the feeling might not be. If you're focusing on, I'm in this key, I have to play this scale. I'm just very organic like that. And you know what? If a note doesn't work, I believe, like Frank Zappa used to say, like, that sometimes the wrong notes are the best notes. I'm just not a theory nerd. Sorry, everyone.
Going way back to Frank. God bless his soul. So you and Nina played together for a couple of years until she went with Alice Cooper. What were some musical ideas you guys bounced back off each other? Like any techniques or any, like, hey, use this for your strings, or you can tighten
No, but actually the funny thing is, we used to live together for a couple of years. We were in our fun years in the music business, so we didn't really talk about guitar at all. We were just out at the Rainbow and going to shows and stuff. And then, party ended. So they used to refer to us like Aerosmith, like Talk Twins. Yeah, and now we're the Protein Shake Twins.
Were you guys just known for having a really, really good time, or were you guys destructive in a motley crew?
Yeah, we're a life of the party, everyone. I mean, I think everyone was probably just making fun of us. But we didn't care. But yeah, she was subbing for the Maidens for a few years while we were trying to find a permanent position for Dave Murray. And actually there was a time, I think it was Nita, Nikki, and this girl Neely Brosh who was subbing for us as well. There was a constant rotation. So like when you were going to one of our shows, you didn't know what guitar player you were going to have.
Right.
Yeah, and after she got the Cooper gig, we were playing in Hollywood for her 30th, I believe. That was just the start of the Starbreakers. As our other little cover metal band. But the thing that was cool, like, it was up to us what we wanted to play. There was no strict format. We just walked into a studio, like, all right, we have a show tomorrow. What do you want to play? And we just randomly threw out what we grew up with. Like, oh, let's play King Diamond song. All right, let's do it back at this song. And it was really cool.
It's good to have that commodity with people. That's one thing about music I like. You can meet anybody.
Stress. It was just us. Like, didn't have to listen to anyone. There was no manager, no this, that. We just show up, plug in, and go. So
you mentioned LA. You said in other interviews that you went through a rough patch because you fell into the wrong crowd. And I was curious, what dragged you out of that? Because now you're sober. I think it's 5 years?
Oh, no, that's neat as 5.
5? How many years have you been sober?
I mean, I wouldn't say completely sober. I just, I had like my glass of wine on a birthday and stuff like that.
Okay.
But, what we used to do now, that's long gone. It's just, what you thought was the good times and all that, like watching documentaries like The Dirt and all that stuff. It's like you want, like as a kid, I'm like, I want to be on the Sunset Strip. I want to be doing all that. And then after 3 or 4 years of that, as you're getting towards the end of your 20s, you realize it's just not that fun anymore. You kind of just got swept away. Especially Hollywood, it's the kind of thing, like if you can't handle it, it definitely will chew you up and spit you out. And I started to see that and just, you take a step back and you look at it like, wow, this isn't really that glamorous. Like everyone's, when you remove like the alcohol and the early morning hours, like everyone's just miserable. I guess that was just their escape. Like, oh, we leave the bar next morning. Hey, we're back at the bar. I'm like, can we just go get a coffee? And it wasn't when I started thinking that way. I was like, yeah, maybe it's time.
Okay.
I should be focusing on music anyway.
Did your car accident happen between that time too?
No. That was when I was in I think it was like a freshman year of high school. So I used to be an athlete, and like my whole thing was like, gonna get my full ride to college for lacrosse, and then boom, car accident. Which, funny enough, hindsight 2020, I focused more on guitar, so I guess it was a blessing in disguise, but I'm still in pain.
What do you do for your pain? Like, I heard stretches. Have you tried yoga or tried?
I do some yoga, but a lot of it I do, I lift a lot, so it's a strong core, it takes the pressure off my lower back. But, I've had shows where the next day I can barely walk. I'm just very conscious of it and don't do anything stupid.
You are also working on a solo album.
Yep.
And it's still...
Slowly but surely, it's coming along.
Is it going to be...
tour all the time.
Is it going to be an instrumental solely?
See, I know a lot of people are doing that now, but I was never really into instrumental music. Like, I have, obviously players like Vi and Marty Friedman, Becker. But I just want a band. Like, I want to, have like that Van Halen, like, family, or like Pantera. I could do instrumental and just be doing everything myself and just put it out, but now I don't want to strictly do an instrumental. And I might have like 2 on the record.
Okay.
But now it's the game of, okay, I gotta find my singer, gotta find my drummer, But I think it's worth all the stress.
Or you could pull up Prince.
Yeah.
You use Caparison still.
Caparison, yes.
I said that wrong? Said that right?
I hear it said Caparison.
Caparison.
Some people say Caparison. It's like, I get it all the time.
What is the best thing about that guitar that you like? Because there's so many different things. There's the wood, there's the size, there's the frets, 27 frets.
Yes.
That's nice to have.
I would say it's all those in one.
Okay.
It's literally everything. It's just the quality of it. I mean, Japanese, you can't touch it.
Okay.
And it's just the way I, tear my guitars apart on tour. The first, guitars I've ever had that really stands up to my toxic sweat and me running into walls and everything in between.
So you physically destroy them. It's not just tinkering with them, trying to...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a really hard player, so... Yeah, I was with another company for a good 12 years, and I got one of those in my hands, and I never looked back. Not saying anything about the other company. It was just, it's like I always say the 3 little bears, this one's not so right, that's a little too hot. This one's just perfect. Right. Yeah.
What about your pedals? Because you made it a big deal, because sometimes people don't know that when you're touring, they bring the equipment to you from different places or different cities. So you said that a couple of your pedals were the ones you really are your go-tos, just in case you get a crap amp or a good amp. Yeah. What pedals do you use?
Basically, I've had pretty much the same setup since I started playing. I have a, God, they're going to kill me if I get this wrong, a Boss DD3, a Boss CH4 Chorus, I have a BBE Boost de Grande Boost, and then for my distortion, I have the Friedman EEOD, and then a wireless, and then that's simple. I mean, the one I would need always would be that Friedman distortion pedal.
Okay.
And it's funny because I'll be on tour and have the worst Marshall or some just crappy thing, and they're like, "How did you get it to sound like that?" I'm like, "I'm just using the clean channel.
Yeah.
It's all on my board." So it's just convenient for me. It's not for everyone. People like to upgrade and go, with technology and where it's going. I've just always been old school with my little pedal board. That's all I need.
Once you said you gotta learn to say no to certain things on the road, certain things people ask you to do, and one thing that struck me is you said no to a couple of gigs, and at the time you said they could have helped with a payment or something. You said your heart wouldn't be in it. What is so important about that? Because if I'm in a position where, okay, I really need this next rent, I have to go for it.
Lights on and food on the table.
Exactly. What was it about certain gigs that you said your heart was in it? You didn't feel like, oh, I would be really into playing it, or just something felt wrong? Is that all around?
Well, I mean, there's always that thing, you never want to say no to a gig or that. I mean, a lot of people have different opinions on it, but, when I... early 20s, I had my whole career ahead of me. I really wanted to focus on something that would make me happy. And my thing with music is I don't want it to ever feel like a job to me. I want to have fun. So if my heart's really not in something that's going to take up a big chunk of my life, a couple years, because, boom, they're old. I just didn't see, changing my complete life to do something that my heart really wouldn't be into.
That makes sense.
I mean, that's just me,
Wise beyond your years.
You're too kind.
Thank you. Appreciate that. One thing always bothered me was the over-sexualization of female musicians. I get rock and roll is very,
Oh, it goes both ways with that, dear.
Oh, you've seen personally, firsthand.
I mean, with the 80s, I don't think these guys are running around leather pants with their shirt off because, they were sweating. Like I said, it's a two-edged blade on that one.
One thing I always found disrespectful is I'll see interviews where the person will ask the female musician something very personal. A sex question.
Oh, do you have groupies backstage?
No. More like what type of sexual acts would you like to do, or would you do this or that?
I mean, we've been asked everything under the sun. We're not fazed by anything.
And you guys always, specifically you, always answer. Never have I seen an interview where you were questioned, where you crude about it, got mad about it. You just answered. Sometimes you made a joke about it, but have you ever shot someone down? Did anyone ever go too far? Because I feel like that's disrespectful. That's taken away from
I think there
your
was
music.
only one time, I forget what show it was at, and the guy was just very rude, and it was a race thing. He turned around, he's like, would you ever date someone of a different color? I was just like, that's a really fucking rude thing to ask. I'm like, of course, but why is that a question?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the only time I ever really stopped an interview. It was just very disrespectful. So, but that's the only one I can think of. Other than that, yeah, you get the sexual ones and just whatever.
Maybe you're a better person than me, because the whole thing is we want to get to know how you think musically. You're expressing yourself and leading others.
Music. Why are you going down this other rabbit hole?
Exactly. So you guys are so tight, and you guys are really good musicians all together. Was there ever talks about you guys doing something else other than just Maiden songs?
We kicked it around, especially because we just finished a tribute album that's being mixed and mastered right now. We thought about adding that secret track if you let it continue on, and write a couple, but we're so spread out in California, just even meeting up would be a hassle. And then, after 5 weeks on the road together, I think the last thing we all would want is to get back into a studio and start writing.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have different musical tastes and stuff. I mean, I'm speaking for myself right now. I don't know their views right now, but we definitely kicked it around. It's just finding the time. I'm doing my original record, Nikki just finished hers, and then let's throw another album on top. It's kind of overload right now. Anyway.
Well, you guys are always touring. What do you do in your spare time, if you get any?
I play with my cats.
Well, I don't mean home, but on the road. Yeah.
Oh,
Because there's so many things people could do. Doyle always works out. And,
I work out. And a lot of the girls like to explore, but I stay behind, usually just catch up on sleep. And 3-string guitars. It's very boring. The glamorous lifestyle. Yeah, that's about it. It's kind of, I wouldn't say it's boring, but anyway, yeah, I don't do much. Because every day is boom. I think our last tour was 5 weeks straight, and we had 3 days off, and that was it. So it's wake up, sound check, hang around to the show, and just rinse and repeat.
Right.
So.
You guys are really, really tight-knit. Was there ever a time where the band was really thinking about dissipating? Or you were thinking, you know what, I don't know if I can do this anymore? Because every time we see an interview, you guys always say we don't take it for granted, we're very fortunate. But I'm just curious to what the internal squabbles.
I'd be lying if I didn't say I thought about it from time to time, I've been in the band 10 years, do I start thinking about other things? But then I realized, this is fun for us. I can still do this and manage my own thing on the side. It's just making sure that two don't overlap, which can be tricky, but you just gotta plan ahead. If last December, I took all December off. I'm like, sorry guys, I want to work on my album, and they had a tour in India, and they went without me. So we always, if we're really in a pinch and can't do something, we all have subs ready to step in.
What was a moment in your career? Because you've been going since 15. I believe it was Philly Rocks, the school rock, touring since 15.
A lot of the kids I was playing shows with in that thing are going to be here tonight. It's going to be so weird.
But you've been doing this for a long time. What was a moment in your career where you felt like you were accomplished? You felt like, hey, I finally made it as a musician. I actually have the resume, I have the skills, I am all around to be taken as a studious musician.
I think I was just 15 when I first started playing. Within a week, I was jamming along Metallica. I think I kind of knew that I'm like, this is really like second nature to me. I should stick with this kind of thing. And then, you know, the first tour, it was with that School Rock thing. We were doing songs with Adrian Blue. It felt so natural to be on stage. And then after that, it was a John Anderson tour and this and that. And the next thing you know, I'm 19, telling my mom I'm moving to California in a week, and I left with a backpack and a guitar.
How'd she deal with that?
Obviously, she was destroyed and crying. But the town I'm from, it's a very small town. It's like a factory town. And if you don't get out when you have the chance,
you die there.
Yeah. So she told me just go.
So you guys are always at NAMM. You know all these musicians. Who's somebody that took you under their wing? You have a really extensive amount of people I can't name, but it goes from Megadeth to Fear Factory, Motorhead. You got bands all over the place that know you. Like, who's somebody that really who went out of their way to like teach you the ins and outs, or was it one of the maidens in the band?
Oh, I would say my mentor, obviously, and every day would be Linda. When I first moved out, I didn't know anyone. She definitely took me under her wing, and I was so much of a fangirl because I used to listen to Phantom Blue, the original band from the 80s. I remember like our audition, I walked in, I'm like, oh, I used to listen to Phantom Blue, I have the records and all that stuff. But yeah, she's always been there for me through the happiest times to the darkest. So, and band-wise, you know, like Schmear from Destruction has always had my back. I mean, I can go on and on.
As far as solo, because you said you're self-taught and you're not really a theory person.
I know theory, I just don't. I'm not the one with there. I was like the paper going nuts. Like, okay, I can only go to this note and that scale and the relative this and
what's the minor or the major and this and that. I flunked that class in college. But what do you prefer to do? Because like say if we're talking blues, Eric Clapton has his place on the guitar. Stevie Ray would have his place on the guitar. Where do you like to be on the guitar? Do you like to be all the way up near the 27th fret, or do you like to be a little bit more all over the place?
In the beginning, I'll probably hang out around the 7th fret, and then go up and then come back. I don't know. It's like I don't really think. I'm just in the zone and going. I guess doing blues, like everyone's just string kind of tattling. But like, if you like actually look at the scale for what it is, it's the minor scale. You add those little extra flavor notes in there and stuff like that. So like I know all that kind of stuff, but I'm not one to be like, I'm gonna add the 13th and this and It's like just say B, add the B.
Okay. You mentioned that you were really shy when you first started doing
I still
music.
am shy. That's why I'm drinking Monster right now.
But Mira, think about it. You're putting on a good front. Eye contact, speaking, no stuttering, unlike I did when I first started.
I mumble though, so when you listen back to this, you'll probably notice that.
I can understand what you're saying. You're pretty good. How long did you think it took you to find that, not so much comfortability, because there's always a little bit of a nerve rack to it, but when you finally started getting it down to be smooth with it? Like, is there anything else that you have mentally, like when you go out on stage, okay, I've got the butterflies, but I really have anxiety about this or that?
I think I probably got more of my confidence. Because when I grew up, I was overweight, I was picked on. I think when I finally lost the weight, finally got that, like, okay, no one's, like, looking at me weird, like, because I always, like, literally shake, like, wouldn't talk. Even in school, I wouldn't talk to people. Because, just being made fun all the time. So it really, I mean, even till now, it's, like, that's why I mumble, because I'm not used to it. Didn't have that growing up, like, talking and social life that most kids get. But yeah, then I lost the weight, and it just, especially moving out to LA, like, you had no choice. You had to just get over it and do it. And then, like, playing the shows, being out in tour, meeting people all over the world, like, over the years, just getting a little more comfortable and a little more comfortable. But yeah, even pre-shows, like, if I meet one of my idols, I'm still nervous and, don't mess up. I remember I had to interview Joe Satriani, and I called him Steve Vai. I was so nervous. No introduction, here I'm with Steve Vai. And I, like, literally, you could see the words coming out my mouth, like,
how do you take it?
He laughed when he saw I was shaking. He was like, "You nervous?" I'm like, "Yeah."
That was kind of him. everybody seems so nice. Just because I think it's because the industry is so cutthroat.
Yeah.
And it's like changed so much. But if there's one more musician you could play with, not a Iron Maiden affiliated, but just someone that's well known or someone important to you, past or present, dead, alive. Who was somebody you really wanted to jam with? Dimebag. Also, that screech, the way you guys do that, still blows my mind. I can't get that. The pentatonic, it's annoying. I gave up on Miami bars a long time ago. I'm just gonna destroy the neck and then.
Yeah. It was me, like 15, watching videos and trying to learn it. And yeah, there's holes in my walls, breaking stuff. That took me a while.
I give you a lot of credit because you said you weren't patient with learning. And that's kind of how I was with certain things, playing music instruments, because I play a couple. It can be daunting to be like doing the same thing
over and over again.
and
That's
then
why, I tried lessons and all. I just didn't like someone telling me you have to do it this way, and you have to play this. And it's funny because like when I hear friends of mine who went to the Berkeleys and the MIT and stuff, and they start playing in front of me, I'm like, was so and so your teacher? And they're like, yeah, how'd you know? I'm like, because you sound exactly like him. Because you're taking lessons from him in their class.
But that is interesting. You can hear, like, once you get trained to it, you can hear who's playing what in different songs and etc. But
and I just didn't like the practice. Like, hearing the word practice, like, to me is like a very negative thing. Like, how I learned how to play was just putting on my favorite records, rewinding them, and playing along until it sounded right. And I just keep rewinding. Just did it the way I wanted to do it.
It worked out. What's the best piece of advice that readily comes to your mind that someone's given you? Not one that you have for other people, but something someone's told you or something that happened that just, it always sticks in the back of your mind. It could be just a random, like, hey, remember to tell somebody you always love them, or, hey, man, don't rent a tour bus. Like something that just readily comes to mind right now.
I think of my father, and I'll keep the swear words out of it because he swears like a sailor. Basically, in a nutshell, just like, keep your ego in check because there'll always be someone right behind you. It's better.
Okay.
That kind of thing. So I always think of it. Anytime like I get snippy with a sound guy or something, like it's the first thing that pops in my head. Like, calm down. They call it Courtney's going Philly when I get an attitude. And then just basic stuff like, you're doing this because you love it. Once again, if it turned into a job, you're in the wrong place.
Mm-hmm. So what would you do if you weren't touring? Because the girls say that they have to have other jobs. What are your other jobs? Are you still a barista? Because I know you could do music.
No, I stopped that a long time ago. And I was a bartender. Right now, I'm fortunate enough to just focus on music.
Okay.
So, knock on wood. But, and if I wasn't touring, even if I wasn't a musician, I don't know. There's something in the music business. There's so much to do. So.
Well, thank you so very much for your time.
Fun.
Can I get an ID from you before you dip and go?
I'm terrible at this, but yes. Hey, this is your name. Just kidding.
Oh, you're real funny, ain't you?
Hey, this is Courtney Cox, and you are listening to some stranger in my dressing room with a headset and a computer. John the Ninja.
Yeah, that's not creepy.
Hey, this is Courtney Cox from the Iron Maidens, and you are listening to John the Ninja.